Hello guys, welcome to follow a SuuntoPlus in Q2. We decided to do a separate wrap-up video on Q2 contents for SuuntoPlus, since this is a thing that is currently growing rapidly. So you might have noticed that 3 months ago we started this Open SuuntoPlus program. People who have been using Suunto watches for some time know that we have a functionality on our products called SuuntoPlus. SuuntoPlus is used for different purposes, but one of the key one is that in SuuntoPlus store, in Suunto application, we share different dedicated features for different purposes. So this has been historically built by Suunto, so I think we are around 150 different kind of functionalities there. So basically, if you have wanted to have a for example, peak power values in cycling measured and illustrated on the product, you could have selected the peak power, store it in the watch, and run or ride with the peak power feature. We have also used the SuuntoPlus to embed our sport mode. So when you are playing, for example, tennis, that there is a tennis app within the tennis mode. So the experience that you get in different sports with our sport modes are not just based on those default fields like pace, speed, power, but you can actually get a more richer functionality even in a more niche sports. As an example, biathlon, where you ski and shoot. The biathlon has a biathlon sport app which automatically measures your skiing and shooting time. Obviously that's not a mass participation sport, but for athletes who are racing in biathlon without need to press any buttons to get the statistics of how long did I did my shooting and how long did I do a skiing part, lapping, automatic, everything, of course is essential. Now, when we in Suunto we are creating these type of features and functionalities, we are of course always restricted in basically two things. One, do we have development resourcing and capability to build all the needs that you guys are asking and we are inventing? So that's of course always restricted for our resourcing. But then the other one is that do we actually know and have a good idea that what would be the biathlon feature all about, as an example. So both of these things we are thinking, okay, why don't we open the SuuntoPlus development for anybody? And that's what we did 3 months ago. So there was a launch video. You can go and check that from YouTube if you want. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to api.join.suunto.com and you can find more about SuuntoPlus development. Get the free tools, SuuntoPlus Editor development tool, which is part of Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and then develop your own app, simulate that in that editor, connect that to your watch, and then use it during the sports. Nowadays with the different AI tools, this is quite seamless, and I have heard stories of half an hour and you have your first app. And then if you truly want to share that functionality for other people, you need to join our partner program, which is free. Everybody can access that, but you need to sign basically an API agreement that you can get access all our tools throughout the partner program. Then you can submit your application to SuuntoPlus store via the api.join.suunto.com. So from the API join, there you can manage then your own apps, modify, make new versions, get the feedback from the developers. So all that is open SuuntoPlus. So that's I think one of the most exciting things that we have done in recently in Suunto. So good thing, and for this video, going to the key topic is what has been now then being published in the last 3 months. So I try to go through these latest apps. I have been testing many of them, not all, have to be honest, but I have been reading the feedbacks also from the users, and have had a discussion chat with many of the developers who are working on this. So pretty exciting things. So let's start. First, let's talk about the racing. So, you know, when you are using Suunto, you might do races, or you might spectate the races. So this is a crowd counter. So now when you are in a mass event, you know, in New York Marathon, cheering other guys, you might want to see how many guys have passed before your friend comes. So now you have a crowd counter, press the button, and every time there's a new person going past, or, you know, press the other button and you get, you know, every 10 persons in. So quite cool tool to see that if your friend is in top 100 or top 300 when he passes you. So that's a crowd counter. ParkRun was a bit earlier, came out. So basically you can get the QR code with you when you go to the ParkRun to register. So in practice you do the warm-up run. In Suunto application you basically mark the ID of the registration, and then you get the QR code that you show on the warm-up for race organizers, and you are signing in. You don't need to keep your watch with you. You know the racing type called Backyard. So we have had a Backyard Ultra application developed by Suunto earlier, but there was a RunWarden Backyard functionality built by one enthusiast developer, which is going even further. Now you can Backyard Ultra race is basically that you run, I think it was 6.7 kilometers, if I now remember correctly, every hour. So you run 6.7 kilometers, then you rest, and then you run again every even hour. So if you are running in 40 minutes, then you rest 20 minutes, and then you go as long as you can, with some guys doing this for, you know, a couple of days. Backyard Ultra is RunWarden Backyard Ultra is doing the same thing, but it also gives a possibility to set for example, different distances, not just the normal standard 6.7 kilometers, but the different distances, and then different options to control, for example, when you start again, is it manual or automatic. Beer Mile was the one of the features we launched at the time when we opened the SuuntoPlus app. So, you know, I already pointed this on our Open SuuntoPlus launch video. So this is an example where you run 400 meters, you drink a beer, you run 400 meters, and you drink a beer. So you know, cool racing type. Race Surgeon. This is a app where you in Suunto app. So every SuuntoPlus app can have a settings. So once you have downloaded the app into the device, you can modify the settings in that app from Suunto mobile application. So settings are stored and used within the Suunto watch, and Suunto application can be used to modify those settings. And where you do it is on that SuuntoPlus Sport app view in Suunto mobile application. It might sound trickier than it is, but I wanted to highlight this because some people don't find where I can actually modify the settings if there are ones. Of course, not all the SuuntoPlus apps have settings. So again, you find an application from SuuntoPlus store, you download it from the store. This is a public store, anybody can access it. It's not yet in your account, so you download the app into your own account. Now you have it under your own account under My Sport Apps. When it's there, you need to select that, hey, I want to have this in the watch, so you can have a lot of apps. Not all needs to be on the device. Then you select, okay, I want to put that on the device. Once you have downloaded into the device, then you are able to modify the settings that are on that device app. So sounds again more complicated than it is. It's quite simple. Make sure that the app is on the watch, and then open the same, in this case, Race Surgeon app on the mobile app, and you modify the settings. In this case, the settings are In race, you might have sections, segments, and you can modify the pace, distance of these segments, and now you can then follow on the screen, am I running faster or slower against those different segments. So race surgeon is basically set up on the device, and then you can follow it during a run. Runwarden Pacer, it's basically similar. You set again the different segments, pacing, and then you can see the live metrics on the device. So I have to say that in some of the sport apps that we now have a similar kind of benefit. The feature might have a bit different kind of logic, and the views might be a bit different. So depending on what you appreciate, you can test several and find the one that suits your own purposes the best. For training, there is a manual interval. This is quite cool because this particular feature looks at the 3 different ways of doing interval training. So are you doing intervals where interval and rest, or do you interval with interval, or you do a tempo run? Basically the point is that the functionality on the device shows you, for example, during interval, the interval data, and then on the rest you get the the results from the interval. If you do an interval to interval, it's more about the short duration of showing results from the last interval. So again, you are in full control. You can do this manually, so you don't need to predefine the interval. That's of course the key point here. You can of course do the pre-planned interval sessions with the Suunto application, partner companies, or within a device. But many times when you are doing interval sessions, you might be running a hill repeats where you don't actually know how long does it take to go up to the hill, for example. So the manual interval app in this case is a great tool to control that yourself. Howard Zone Tracker, this is also, I would say, great tool for interval training, because now you are able to see how much time you have accumulated in this current zone. So it looks at the last, if I remember, 10 or 30 seconds period, and then starts to accumulate time in that zone. So basically, you might do a workout where you want to gather a 25 minutes in zone 4, and you want to control that with the heart rate. So this makes it more let's say simpler to see in few different values. SunMaxxi Pacer is basically a tool that is defined for racing. So you can set up what's the estimated time for 10k, half marathon, and then you are able to see the pace or power values during the race. So it's easy to follow. You can see that there is a bit of trend here. So the zone feature, this one, and the Biggies feature all are using huge fonts on the screen. So it's evident that many of the views that in default Suunto has, many of these are quite small fonts. So many of the developers have been now solving the visibility of the content with the apps, and it's a pretty cool thing. So for example here, the Biggies is illustrating the, sorry, I'm in front of the screen here, but it shows a basically heart rate, duration, and distance as big fonts as possible. So in these cases, when you do, for example, race, and you don't have time to really look at smaller numbers, this as big as it gets. So it doesn't even really fit on the screen, so it's so big. So Biggies for those ones who might want to have a glasses on when you are running, this solves that problem. Okay, then gear tracker. One of the things that you might have wanted to always do is to understand how much time or distance, or how many times I have used for certain shoes or certain bike. shoes you want to perhaps change up to a certain point, or in bike you might want to loop your chain or change your chain in regular interval. So now the gear tracker gives you that option. You select what kind of gears you have been using, and it accumulates the total distance and time for that. So then you start to notice that, wait a second, now I most probably need to change my running shoes because they start to wear out. Gear tracker. aLoop. This is a basically designed to be used in loop courses. This is quite similar what we have had in past, the loop feature. This is just a new kind of approach for this. Basically, it's meant to be used, for example, you do cross-country skiing, a certain loop. Based on the location where you start, it starts to track the loop values, so you can see how long you have been on this loop and what's the time in a previous loop, so you can do live comparison. In some sports like cyclocross, I believe these are interesting because those are looped courses, and to get the automatic statistics from each lap is pretty valuable. If you do any other sports where the loop are essential, try this out. Now for the trails, for trail running, there's quite many different approaches to quantify the work that you do when there's elevation. So how hard I'm exercising, what kind of ascent descents there are. So LiveKME effort is simplifying this quite nicely. In principle, every 100-meter elevation is actual 1 kilometer distance. So when you are thinking that I'm running 10 kilometers flat, but then if there's a 100-meter elevation, well, that's equals 11 kilometers. So of course that's not exact science, but it's easy to understand. If the flatlander as me, if I go to Alps and I will run 1,000-meter elevation in 10 kilometers, well, that equals 20 kilometers in flat. So that kind of math might be tricky to know otherwise, but these kind of tools will help you. GapMate is similar, so grade adjusted pace, that's where the GapMate comes. Basically calculates again the elevation changes and then provides the understanding on the pacing that you are doing, so the comparison for the flat pace. So grade adjusted pace or normalized grade pace are basically same thing, different terminology, different calculation method, but hey, check it out, GapMate, when you go next running on the mountains. Now the Stifa, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, this is actually a nice idea where looking at your elevation profile in mountains. So when you are running uphill and then with the constant uphill, looking at your speed in that uphill compared to your heart rate, this tries to give you a guidance. Can you push more, or should you hold a bit? So it's not just trying to follow a normal zone-based intensity, but looking at the elevation profile and based on that to try to evaluate if there's harder effort that you could do, and then simplifying it in a nice graph that, okay, are you able to push more or less? So using the elevation and your heart rate as a guidance. Duration estimator is simplifying just that, okay, you have a somewhere to go, what would be the estimated time of arrival and estimated time of still go, so simplifying this into couple of fields. Constatin, you know that when you are when you are running especially longer distances, there will be some kind of decoupling effect happening at some stage, so it means that your heart rate starts to increase even the pace doesn't change. Usually it's a symptom of your cardiovascular system is not anymore capable of handling that kind of intensity. It can be sometimes hard to notice while you are doing the session. It afterwards, when you are looking at the pace graph and the heart rate graph, you actually start to see it. The Constatin is pretty much trying to provide this tool for you live. So trying to illustrate how the pace is changing and how the heart rate is changing here. I have to say that when you look at this video and the screens, some of the screens have been already updated. So I remember this particular feature has now already updated with the different values shown on the screen. So just to highlight the changes. And this is an example as the developers are creating these SuuntoPlus apps. I have seen already now in the last 3 months when this has been published, almost every app have already several different versions updated. So unfortunately, when you are looking at this video, many of the apps might have been already updated. So where you see the true status of each feature, please check the SuuntoPlus store and see the documentation there by the developer, how it works and what is there. Checkpoints is making the hiking or trail running experience simple, where you can basically mark 3 different sections in your path. What's the target time to be there. So you think that okay, I need to be on the bus at a certain time. You can easily see that wait a second, I have still 9 hours time to be there. So I don't miss the bus. So it's a checkpoints simplifies to keep you on track at the right time. We don't need to do route planning or nothing fancy. Just mark the times, name and time, and you are ready to go. Keep yourself on the schedule. All right. So let's talk about games. So of course, most of the people who are using Suunto watches, they might primarily do running or cycling or some other outdoor sports, but many of you guys play games. You play tennis or basketball or some others, and SuuntoPlus now provides you a possibility to get tools for your favorite games as well, and table tennis here is a good example. So now the developer who built the table tennis score SuuntoPlus app truly knows what is table tennis. So now you can select the different match types, who serves first, and keep in touch. What is the points for you and your opponent. So yes, now you can play table tennis with your Suunto. Of course, some of you guys want to play basketball. Basketball score SuuntoPlus app gives you a simple tool to keep score of are you winning or are you losing. So check it out if you are a basketball fan. You might be watching the basketball game and you want to keep your score or playing yourself. Tennis score. This is was something that we already published at the time when we opened the SuuntoPlus. So basically you can select different kind of match types, keep the score in granular level, 15, 30, 45, etc. How the tennis goes, and then basically follow it on the watch. So that's pretty cool. Hockey timer, yeah, Suunto is from Finland. We are the world champion, so obviously we need to have a hockey timer. Finnish developer working on this. So now you can basically follow the penalty count, the periods, the timing, and so on. So one tool to rule the whole game. So if you are ice hockey fan or you are a referee, for example, this is a pretty cool tool to keep track what's happening on the ice. Hexhunter, making the outdoor world, your playground in this kind of territory game. So this was again one of the apps that we published at the same time when we opened the SuuntoPlus store. So this is a feature where you go outdoors and you are every place where you go, you gather these kind of hexa elements, and more you gather, the bigger the points basically are. Now it's the middle of the summer, not everybody is in gym, but good highlights for the gym goers. So Concept 2 compatible with Erg Sync, so you get your pacing distance from the Concept 2 device directly to the watches, which makes of course the rowing statistics more precise. Same for Tredmill Link. Now for products that have the FTMS Bluetooth connectivity, you will be able to get the data from the treadmill itself. Of course, our watches are measuring quite nicely the speed and distance, but for example, the treadmill being in incline, that's something that we can't measure on the watch, so the data coming from the treadmill itself is now possible to follow on the screen. So Tredmill Link, test it out. Strength training is something that many of you guys are doing, but we haven't had a very, let's say, in-depth tools to track those or measure those or follow those strength sessions. Now Strength Tracker is a full-fledged strength exercise tool. If you want to see a demonstration how this actually works, you can also check the YouTube video that was created for this app. Basically you can select different exercises, select how many reps you have been doing or want to do intensity, impact, muscle load calculation from the exercises, and yeah, it measures the rep counts automatically based on the acceleration of the device. So of course works on those exercises where you can measure the acceleration. So pretty cool tool, like full-fledged real application. So check it out if you want to really follow precisely your strength sessions. Much simpler, but still evidently works nicely for strength sessions is the rest timer. Just simple tool. Keep your rest times tracked nicely. Different presets, 30, 60, 90 seconds, as easy to follow. So when you want to have every 30 seconds you do a circuit training, I want to have 30-second reps, rest periods between. Check the rest timer. Pretty cool thing. The Tymewear, that's very horrible pronunciation. This is basically a compatibility with this sensor, which is looks like a heart rate strap, but is actually a breathing sensor. So just as a background, when you are in a laboratory environment in test lab to evaluate what are your aerobic and anaerobic threshold, you do usually a ramp-up test in running or in cycling, and based on the ramp-up measurement with heart rate, lactate, and ventilation are being used to evaluate what are the aerobic threshold or anaerobic threshold. Now, some argue that the ventilation is actually the most precise way to measure in the lab conditions the threshold, and this sensor tries to bring this to the field. So using the sensor, you are able to measure the breathing rate, the vital tidal volume, the ventilation overall, and basically based on that quantify that where would be, based on the ventilation, where would be your threshold values. So now this is connected with this unofficial Tymewear SuuntoPlus app. So if you want to understand better how the ventilation works, test the sensor, and with your Suunto you can follow the data live on your watch. So check it out. Pretty cool thing. For riders, cyclists, many of the riders, cyclists have nowadays already a power meter. but this cycling power meter estimator tries to calculate the power based on your speed and your personal settings. I think it was said on the description, this is a poor man's power meter. Again, good to acknowledge, what is the altitude change, elevation, the speed. You are able to basically calculate approximation of how much power is needed. Of course, it doesn't know, for example, the rolling resistance of your bike or aerodynamic profile of the rider. So that, of course, is an estimation. But again, way to quantify the effort when you don't have a power meter. So quite cool feature to test. Varia Radar. Nowadays there are different sensors that are able to provide the radar data. So this Varia Radar basically gives you information that there's a car coming behind if you have the Varia sensor, or any like a radar sensor that provides the data. So you don't need to look at behind, you can see that there's a car coming soon. If you are the guy who wants to live your life in ocean or sea and do, for example, sailing, there is now a different apps for those purposes. So anchor alarm is quite simple. When you stay in a certain location, you can mark where did I drop the anchor, select also radius that how to get the alert if I'm drifting apart from that. So nice small feature for sailors. This VMC app is basic for sailors who want to understand that how efficiently I'm going in a certain direction. So basically there's two things. First is that you are sailing into headwind. So basically what you do, you point towards that direction, and you basically based on that you will mark with the app that that's the headwind direction. And then you select a point of interest somewhere, and that's the place where you want to go. And now when you have selected the point of interest and you select the wind direction, now you start to see how fast I'm actually getting to that direction where I'm cross sailing to the headwind. So how fast I'm going that direction, and then what's my effective speed that direction I'm going. So those for sailors are quite nice tools to make the right path, right angle against the wind, understand that better. WingFoil, this is a tool that helps you to get the understanding of the max speeds for different like, okay, what was the last 10 seconds, 30-second max speeds for wingfoiling, speeding knots and so on. So make the wingfoil more interesting. And then, funny enough, pump foil. You have potentially seen these guys who are using these boards where you pump yourself, and then the app here tries to identify how long I have been able to fluently pump. Again, I'm not an expert on this sport, so I don't know what is actually the word to say. What is that pumping? But anyway, you pump, and then you see how fast or how long I have been able to float on top of the water. So for those guys, now you have a Suunto watch that can actually track those sessions. So quite cool to see. There has been quite a lot of this kind of water specific feature ideas now floating. I believe that we will actually have quite many new water sports related features coming up. So watch this space also. Not ending here. Foam goggles. There is now a possibility to use Suunto watch with foam goggles. So the application basically links to those smart goggles which you can see the speed and distance in pool. But when you are using a GPS device in open water swimming, in this case it relays to the GPS data from the watches. So now this data is transferred to the goggle, and you should be able to see. We need to remember that when there's a device that has in your hand, which goes under the water, there's of course no signal. So so using a watch connecting to the Bluetooth equipment when swimming, it can only work at the time when the watch is on top of the water. So something to think about. I know that some people have been at some stage even placing the watch in the under swimming cap to keep the data flowing ongoing manner. Perhaps that's something that you can think about. But all in all, cool to see that we have this app built now by a developer. So cool thing. For people who want to go to the mountains and experience the nice things there and keep track of everything, first notes. There is a possibility now to keep up to 10 different notes. It's a basic text, you know, what I need to remember when I'm hiking in the forest, when I'm going to a campsite, that do I have certain things that I need to do there. So now you can keep these personal notes, short text saved into a device, and of course these texts are again placed on the Suunto app in notes settings. Climb log, this is one of the again a more feature-rich feature. So you are able to basically log different kind of routes when you are climbing, track those, the grades, the difficulty settings on those tracks, and then follow how you are able to proceed on those. Again, I encourage you to read the SuuntoPlus store description of the climb log to truly understand all the possibilities. So that's for climbing, for mountaineering, like climbing on the wall, as the picture illustrates. And then we already talked earlier that there's a grade adjusted pace functionality for runners, but this is more dedicated for walking and hiking. So GVE, grade adjusted information. So when you are hiking, you can use the app for more like slower paces. So that was it. That's now our results in basically in first 3 months of opening the SuuntoPlus. I think there is now a plus 30 different features that has been published, and of course each one many people are providing feedback. So if you are testing any of these apps, you are able to provide the feedback for the developer in SuuntoPlus store. So there's just click the feedback button and send a message. Perhaps say thank you if you really enjoy the app. I truly appreciate all the effort that guys have been doing and putting a lot of work on making this happen. So big congrats for you guys who have been working on those. If this inspires you to develop an application, just go suunto.com, welcome partners, and join the program, or just download the tools from APIs on suunto.com. There is a discussion forum in forum.suunto.com where you can participate in the discussions. There's also a discussion about ideas, what features they would like to see, that if you don't want to code anything yourself, but you have a nice idea and would like to see that happen, perhaps you can share your idea there as well. So many exciting things happening. We are building forward the SuuntoPlus models for the future, so more capabilities will come. But for now, I truly want to thank for everybody your time to follow this video, and let's see what does next 3 months bring us in SuuntoPlus store. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye bye.